Here is what New York Times reported. It says Iran has prepared for a possible attack in recent months by strengthening fortifications and creating obstacles and explosive traps around some of its nuclear facilities, which makes the execution of any ground operation highly risky. And what is the perception, Professor Marandi, when it comes to the ground invasion? We know that the United States was systematically trying to destroy the facilities in the southern and in the western part of Iran. And the perception is maybe the United States is planning for such an operation, the ground operation.
Well, I mean, the success of the United States is as such that Iran has hit, I think, another ship off the coast of the Emirates was struck off the coast of Jufair. So Fujairah. Fujairah. Yeah. Yes, I was thinking of Jufair near the Iran-Iraq border. That was the scene of a battle that I was involved in during the war. So off the coast of Fujairah a few hours ago, I think 3-4 hours ago, another ship was hit. So obviously the strikes on the Iranian coast and in the south have not been of any use to the United States in getting out those ships. So ultimately, if this continues, we're going to have an imminent energy crisis, and it's going to be catastrophic, especially after what Yemen did last night. And they not only did they, as I said, they struck 3 tankers, but now they've struck Saudi key infrastructure. And we'll have to see what impact it has on the ability for Saudi Arabia to export oil, because I don't know what they struck. They may have struck.
They just mentioned here. Let me read it, Professor Marandi. A new statement by Yemen. The Yemeni forces announced that they targeted Aramco refinery in Jazan and the Aramco East-West pipeline in Yanbu, Saudi Arabia, with dozens of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drones. Yemen announces that that blockade will be met with blockade, and escalation will be met with escalation. This is the statement by Yemen.
Well, that means that the energy crisis is getting closer and closer and closer by the minute. Literally by the minute. I mean, I don't know how many days are left. I mean, if it's based on Trump's calculations, it should be a couple of weeks from now. I have no idea, because Trump doesn't, and nothing he says is really accurate. He's a serial liar. So, but when he said 4 weeks, it's been 2 weeks again since things have been shut down, and then we have the Red Sea in addition to that. So let's say 3 weeks, whatever, are left, let's say. But a major U.S. assault, if it's carried out, then the exports will be permanently stopped from our region, permanently, because all the infrastructure in the Persian Gulf will be destroyed, and these countries will collapse. We've discussed this before. They can't survive in deserts without electricity and desalination plants, and if their oil and gas infrastructure is destroyed, there's no reason to stay there anymore. So the Americans recognize this, and now after what Yemen has done, and Yemen obviously can continue these assaults on Saudi installations, and so can Iran. So why would the United States want to continue with this? That doesn't mean it won't. The United States may start waging a war against Yemen and Iran. It's possible, but it will fail. And we've discussed this before. If they want to carry out a land operation, that's what the Iranians want. During the Ramadan war, we discussed this on your show multiple times. The Iranians back then wanted a land invasion. And if anyone thinks that the Iranians are not prepared for a land invasion, they should go and take a look at footage of the underground missile bases. They've been prepared. This is nothing new. And so I think without a doubt are fully prepared. And as I said, these people who I speak with, they want the Americans to attack. let's say the Americans take some island. Let's say Khark Island, which they keep talking. How does that hurt Iran? Right now, there's a siege, so Iran can't export. So it's not using Khark Island to export. So let's say the Americans send in a couple of thousand troops and occupy Khark Island, and a few thousand troops to take over a couple of other islands and have take a piece of the mainland. The Iranian ground forces will start coming in. They are specialized forces. They have their own drones and their rockets. They will start striking the Americans right off their coast or right in front of them on the mainland. So it makes it much easier to kill Americans. And then the top priority for the Americans will be logistics. In the summer of the Persian Gulf, the water is going to be very difficult for them to manage. The taking water for their soldiers and of course their equipment not breaking down in the humidity and the heat. So if they carry out a land offensive, they'll be wiped out. They'll be defeated, and they'll have to retreat after a few weeks, a few months, whatever. It's not sustainable. The Iranians want this not because the Iranians like war. I said this before. It's because the Iranians think that if we have a land offensive, that will be bring about the ultimate defeat, and the Americans will have to go and not come back. In other words, a popular opinion in the United States will become so anti-war that it will just bring the war to an end. So the Iranians are prepared. If the United States, on the other hand, does not want to carry out a land war, they just want to carry out massive strikes on Iranian infrastructure, the Iranians will destroy everything. And we saw what Yemen did last night. And that would bring about an end to the U.S. economy. When the price of energy goes through the roof, that means factories shut down. That's like Iran's fired missiles into all U.S. factories. That means businesses shut down. That means the economy shuts down. That means many people can no longer use their automobiles or travel. I mean, it'll be catastrophic for the world. But this is something and then what will happen? The people in the United States will know who did this. They'll say it was Netanyahu, the Zionist lobby, the Israeli regime, and Trump. I mean, the tragedy will unfold across Africa, across Latin America, across Asia, across Europe. It'll be global. But in different countries, their governments will have to face very painful circumstances. But the people won't say that you did it. But in the West, and in particular the United States, they'll say that you did it. The government, the Trump regime did it. The elites in Washington did it. The Israelis did it. And that I think will destroy the Israeli regime, because they will be despised in the West.